We spend a lot of time on this show talking about, well, the shiny stuff. We talk about AI, we talk about geopolitical shifts, we talk about the latest tech trends. We're always looking at the now and the
Right.
next.
It's always about the future or, the immediate present, what's happening this quarter.
Exactly. But today I want to do something a little different. I want to go backwards. I want to go way, way back. We're digging into the bedrock.
Okay.
We're going to look at the operating system that's running inside your head right now, specifically how you process the concept of being alive and, maybe more importantly, how you process the concept of healing when things go wrong.
It is a bit of a departure for us, isn't it? I mean, usually we have a stack of articles about, I don't know, quantum computing or supply chains.
Right.
But today, the source material we're looking at is, well, it's essentially a linguistic detective story.
A detective story is the perfect way to frame it, because we have these two languages, Korean and Japanese. And geographically, they're neighbors, they're right next door. But if you ask a linguist about them, you usually get a very complicated sigh.
Oh, you do? It's a very contentious relationship in the academic world. A lot of strong opinions.
Right. For a long time, the argument has been, are they related? Are they not? Did they borrow from each other? Did they come from a common ancestor? It's messy. It's really, really messy.
Super messy.
But the research we have in front of us today, it kind of bypasses a lot of the grammar charts and the endless vocabulary lists. It suggests there's a hidden genetic code shared between them.
That's a strong term, genetic code, but I think it actually fits here. The research argues that if you drill down deep enough, past the modern slang, past the loan words from English or Chinese,
Yeah.
and you get to the primal stuff,
The really old words.
the really old words, the words for life, health, and movement, you find a shared architecture, a shared logic.
And that architecture tells a story about how ancient people viewed the world, how they made sense of it all. So for today's deep dive, we've got a few specific frameworks we need to wrap our heads around to understand this.
Right. These are like our detective's tools.
Exactly. The sources mention the 1436 data law, which is all about consonant correspondence. Then there's the action sound law, which is how meaning influences sound. And my personal favorite, the Tachitsuteto Principle.
Which sounds like a martial art move or something.
It really does. I'm going to use the Tachitsuteto on you. But it's actually about physics, right? It's not a secret technique.
It is. It's about the physics of your mouth. It's about how air moves, how your tongue hits your palate. It explains how a sound in one language can literally morph into a completely different sound in another language over 1,000 years just because of friction. It's wild.
We are going to get into that, and I promise you, listeners, we are going to make you try this out loud in your car or your living room later. It's actually kind of fun.
You have to feel it to get it.
You really do. But before we get into the mechanics, I want to pose the central mystery here. The source material brings up these questions that, at first glance, seem totally random.
Yeah, they do seem completely disconnected.
Okay, question 1. Why is the Japanese word for healing basically identical to the Korean word for coming out? Question 2. Is there a hidden connection between the word for medicine and, get this, the sound a baby makes when it's sleeping soundly?
Okay, that one sounds like a stretch.
I know. It sounds like a riddle. And question 3. How does the concept of being solid or hard dictate whether or not you get better from the flu?
When you put them like that, it sounds like a series of clues from like a fantasy novel or an escape room.
It does.
Yeah.
But the aha moment, and I don't want to spoil the ending, but I kind of have to tease it, is that healing, linguistically speaking, isn't about fixing a broken machine.
Yeah.
We tend to think of our bodies as cars, right?
Oh, totally. A mechanical view.
I broke a part, you go to the mechanic, you replace the part.
Right. My knee's busted, give me a new one.
Exactly. But these ancient roots, they suggest healing is a spatial journey. It's the act of emerging. It's about coming out of a bad space and becoming solid again.
So it changes the definition from a biological repair to an existential movement. You aren't just getting better. You are, in a sense, returning to the world.
Returning to the world. I love that. Okay, so let's stop teasing and start digging. We need to look at the root of all of this. And the source material starts with what they call the core phenomenon. And it all hinges on one single sound.
The letter N.
Just N, a simple N sound.
Just N. Now, to understand why this matters, we have to talk about that 1436 data law you mentioned in the intro. It sounds incredibly technical, but...
Yeah, it sounds like a piece of legislation.
Right. But think of it as a decoder ring. In historical linguistics, sounds don't just change randomly, they follow patterns. If a P sound turns into an F sound in one word as a language evolves, it usually turns into an F in all the similar words.
Okay, so it's consistent. It's not just, oh, people in this one village started slurring their speech and now the word is different.
Exactly, there's a logic to it. The 1436 framework tracks these correspondences between sounds. And one of the strongest anchors they found between Korean and Japanese is this N sound, especially when it's related to concepts of life, birth, and appearance.
Okay, so let's walk through the evidence. Let's look at the Korean side first. If you're a Korean speaker, these words are going to be super familiar. If you're not, just bear with us, because the meaning is what matters here. The sources list: Nao-da, Nao-da, and Najida.
Let's break those down. Nao-da, N-A-D-A. It's the most basic one. It means to be born or to appear. If a sprout comes out of the ground, it Nao-da. If a new idea pops into your head, it Nao-da. It's that spark of existence.
Okay, so Nao-da is the popping into existence verb, the moment of creation.
Right. Then you have Nao-da. This is a compound word. Na plus oda, which means to come. So Nao-da means to come out or to emerge. It implies movement from an interior space to an exterior one. You Nao-da from your house. A chick Nao-da from its egg.
Got it. From inside to outside. And finally, Naide.
Right. Naijida. This one means to improve or to get better.
Okay, hold on. This is where the connection starts to get really interesting for me. Because in English, getting better is pretty abstract.
Yeah.
I'm improving. It doesn't really paint a physical picture. But in Korean, naijida, is that linguistically related to Nao-da, to coming out?
It is. And that's the first big insight from the sources. In the Korean linguistic mindset, improvement is fundamentally tied to appearing or coming out.
Yeah.
You don't just improve and avoid, you emerge into a better state.
So if I'm getting better at tennis, or if I'm recovering from a bad cold, I am, in a linguistic sense, coming out.
You are becoming more present. You are manifesting a better version of yourself. Now let's pivot and look at the Japanese side of the coin. We have the verb naru.
Naru, that's a super common verb in Japanese. It means to become.
To become. Nauru.
Well,
It shares that same nauru, to come into existence.
yeah.
But here's the star of the show, the word that really bridges the gap. Nauru.
Naru, which means?
It means to heal or to be cured.
Okay, so Japanese Nauru, to heal, sounds suspiciously like Korean Nao-da, to come out. They share that whole first syllable.
It's not just suspicion. The 1436 data law argues they are the same word, just evolved over thousands of years. The Japanese Nauru aligns perfectly with that Korean concept of emergence. Healing is emerging.
Now, I want to push back on this for a second, just to play devil's advocate, because healing and coming out might just be a coincidence, right? English has heal and, I don't know, heel like the part of your foot. They sound the same, but have nothing to do with each other. How do we know this isn't just a false friend?
That's the right skeptical question to ask. And the evidence, according to the sources, lies in looking at the antonyms, the opposites. If healing is coming out, then what is illness?
Well, being sick, feeling terrible, being weak.
But think about it in that spatial metaphor. If you are not out, where are you?
You're inside. You're hidden. Trapped.
Exactly. The source material argues that in this ancient worldview, illness was viewed as a form of confinement. Think about it. When you have a really bad flu, what do you instinctively do?
I curl up in a ball under a duvet, and I don't want anyone to see me. I want the world to go away.
You hide. You withdraw. You enter a bad space.
Yeah.
You are confined by your own body or by the room you're in. So the act of healing Nauru isn't just your white blood cells fighting off bacteria. It is the act of Nao-da coming out of that confinement.
That actually makes a tremendous amount of sense. It reframes the entire experience. The illness is a place you go to, and healing is the act of walking out the door.
It's a transition from an interior darkness to an exterior light. It suggests that existence, visibility, and being out in the world are positive states. Concealment, being stuck inside, is negative.
So na is the sound of life showing up.
Na is the sound of presence,
Yeah.
manifestation.
That's pretty profound. It's not just biological. It's almost psychological or spiritual. You can't be healed if you stay hidden. You have to emerge.
Precisely. And this gets even more nuanced when we look at how the Japanese language actually uses this word naru. Because unlike in English, where heal pretty much just means heal, Japanese has layers of meaning depending on how you write it.
Right, the kanji.
Yeah.
The Chinese characters. For listeners who don't know, Japanese uses these characters, and you can write the same sound with different characters to give it a different flavor of meaning.
Exactly. So naru can be written with the character for cure. This maps perfectly to the Korean nao-da, to recover from illness. That's the straightforward medical definition. I was sick, now I Naoru.
Okay, that's simple enough.
But you can also write Naoru with the character for straight or correct. Maoru. This also reads as Naoru, but it means to be corrected or to be fixed, like the glitch in the software was fixed, or my bad posture was corrected.
So wait a minute. In Japanese, curing a disease and fixing a typo in an email are the same spoken word.
They are the same spoken word, just visualized differently with the character. And this links back beautifully to the Korean Nao-da, moving from a bad state to a better or correct state. It implies that illness is a form of, well, of error or deviation.
That's a bit harsh, isn't it? Being sick is a mistake.
I don't think it's a moral mistake, but a deviation from the natural order. The natural order is to be straight and present and out. Illness bends you, it hides you. So healing is the act of straightening you out and bringing you back into alignment.
And then there's the transitive version, right? When you do it to something else, naosu.
Yes, nosu, to fix, to cure. This is when an external force is acting. The doctor nosu the patient, the mechanic nosu the car. This matches the Korean hada, which literally means to make better, or more accurately, to make come out.
There is one word in the notes here that really stood out to me. It's a compound word, denosu. It feels like it captures this whole philosophy in a nutshell.
Oh, denosu is a beautiful word. It's used when you mess something up and you need to start over.
Yeah.
Like, I need to denosu my whole approach to this problem. Or, let's just scrap this and denosu tomorrow.
It translates roughly to start over, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
But let's use that action sound law the source mentions. This is the idea that the sounds themselves carry the feeling of the action.
Okay, let's unpack denosu. Break it down for us.
It has two parts, de and nosu. De comes from the verb deru to exit, to go out. The source describes the sound de as representing a low-energy, soft start or exit. You're just kind of moving out.
Okay.
And naosu, as we just established, means to correct or return to the right path, to fix.
So, exit plus fix.
Think about what that implies for the concept of starting over. Usually we think of starting over as just hitting a giant reset button, boom, wiping the slate clean and you're back at zero.
Right, a do-over.
But denosu says, no, that's not how it works. First, you have to exit the path you were on. You have to leave the mistake behind. You have to softly step out of the wrong situation. Then and only then can you correct it. Nasu.
That's a really specific set of instructions encoded in the word. It's not just try again. It's leave the bad place first, then fix your orientation.
Exactly. The word itself is telling you that if you don't exit the bad method or the bad mindset, you can't naosu, you're just spinning your wheels. The linguistic structure tells you that you have to physically or mentally remove yourself from the source of the error before you can repair it.
It's amazing how much wisdom is packed into just a few syllables when you actually look at the etymology. It's almost like a little piece of self-help advice encoded in the verb.
It really is. It's a roadmap for correction.
But I want to pause here because I know we have some listeners who are very detail-oriented, probably some linguists listening. And they might be looking at the Korean word Nao-da and the Japanese word nasu or Naoru and thinking, guys, you are really reaching here.
I can hear them now. One ends in a hard T sound. The other ends in an S or an R. How on earth is that the same word?
Right. Nao-da has that sharp final T. No-su has an S. T and S represent totally different letters in our alphabet. How do linguists justify saying these are the same root?
This is where we have to go to what you call the mouth, Jim. We need to talk about the Tachitsuteto Principle.
The martial art for your tongue.
It's all about the physics of phonetics. To understand why a T becomes an S, you have to understand what your tongue is actually doing inside your mouth.
Okay, lay it on us. Let's do this.
Okay, I want you and everyone listening to actually try this. Say the syllable ta, T-A, ta. And as you say it, pay very close attention to where your tongue is.
Ta, ta. Okay, the tip of my tongue is hitting the roof of my mouth, just behind my front teeth. It's tapping it. It stops the air completely for a microsecond.
Exactly. It's a stop sound. You block the airflow completely, build up a little pressure, and then release it. Ta. Now, using that same part of your mouth, try to say T, T-I.
T.
Where's your tongue now? Is it in the exact same spot?
It's slightly different. It feels like the body of my tongue is higher and it's flatter. It's pressed against the palate more.
Right. To make that E sound, you have to raise your jaw, and the body of your tongue gets closer to the roof of your mouth. Now, here is the friction point. Literally, if you try to say T, but you don't seal that tap perfectly, let's say you're speaking fast or maybe just a little lazily, what happens to the air that tries to sneak through that tiny gap?
Let me try. T, TSI.
Do it slowly. Let the air leak before you release the vowel.
Teat. The. Oh, it turns into a hiss.
You hear that? That hiss? That is an S sound. Or a she sound.
Cheat.
Ki. That friction is what creates the S or chi sound. So over hundreds and hundreds of years, a T sound can naturally morph into a chi or C because it requires less muscular effort than a perfect, crisp stop.
So by the same logic, a D sound would become a G or a Z.
Exactly. This is the Tachitsuteto Principle.
Yeah.
And you can see it right in the Japanese writing system. The ta column of syllables is pronounced ta-chi-tsu-te-tu. Notice it's not ta-ti-tu. The T sound naturally shifted to chi, and the tu sound shifted to tu because of this friction.
So bring this all back to our healing words. How does this explain Nao-da becoming nasu?
The source argues that the ancient root was likely something like nat or nad, meaning to recover or to appear. In Korean, it stayed relatively crisp. Nao-da. That T sound at the end is strong.
Okay.
But as that word moved or evolved into the Japanese phonetic system, specifically when followed by vowels that cause friction like I or U, that final T or D softened, it started to hiss.
So nod plus a vowel like U became nasu.
Think of the transition in slow motion over centuries. Nod, naju, nasu. The T or D sound slid into an S because of the mechanics of the mouth. So the Korean Nao-da, healing, and the Japanese nasu, making forming, are cousins that just grew up with different accents.
So healing, Nao-da, and making nasu share the same root. To heal is literally to make the body correct again.
Yes. And physically, the words diverge because of the physics of speech, but semantically, the core meaning stayed locked together. To make and to heal are the same fundamental act of creation or restoration.
It's like a game of telephone played over 1,000 years, but the message didn't actually get scrambled, just the delivery method changed slightly.
That's a great way to put it. The essence was preserved.
Okay, so we've established that healing is coming out, na, and it's about correcting or making naosu. But this leads to the next big question in the sources. How do we get there? What is the mechanism of healing?
Right. What's the how?
And this part, this is where the detective story gets really wild for me. The source material calls this the medicine connection.
The Gussuri versus Gussuri connection.
I have to admit, when I first read this in the brief, I thought, come on, this is a stretch. It just feels too cute.
It does sound a bit like a nursery rhyme, doesn't it?
It really does. For those who don't speak Japanese, let's define these. Gussuri, K-U-S-U-R-I. It means medicine, like the pills you take from the pharmacy.
Right.
Gussuri, G-U-S-S-U-R-I. It's an adverb. It's an onomatopoeia used almost exclusively to describe sleep. I slept gussuri. It means you slept soundly, deeply, peacefully.
Right. In English, we might say, I slept like a log, or I was dead to the world. In Japanese, I slept gussuri.
And the hypothesis here from the sources is that medicine, kusuri, and sound sleep, kusuri, are not just rhyming words that happen to be associated with being sick. The argument is that they are functionally, etymologically, the same word.
And the logic goes like this. You take kusuri, medicine, so you can sleep gussuri soundly, which in turn leads to Naoru healing.
It sounds convenient, doesn't it? A little too neat. But let's look at the data. This brings us back to the 1436 data law and those consonant shifts we were just talking about.
Okay, first look at the first letters. K and G, kusuri, gussuri.
Are K and G really that related? They sound pretty different to me. One is sharp, one is soft. K is a click, G is a thud.
Okay, let's try another mouth experiment. Put your hand on your throat, on your Adam's apple. Now say ka, just the sound.
God!
Did you feel a vibration in your vocal cords?
No, not really. It was just a puff of air from the back of my mouth.
Right, that's an unvoiced consonant. Now, keeping your hand there, say ga.
God, whoa, yeah. There's a buzz, a definite vibration.
That's the only difference. They're made in the exact same part of your mouth with the exact same tongue shape. K is unvoiced, G is voiced. In linguistics, they are considered a pair, and they are highly interchangeable. In fact, in modern Korean, the sound for K and G can often swap depending on where they are in a word.
Okay, so K equals G. I'll grant you that. That brings the words closer. But what about the rest of the word? Suri. Where does that come from?
For that, the source identifies the Korean root Gud, G-U-D.
Good.
In Korean, the root Gud implies concepts of solid, hard, or firm. You have verbs like Gud-a, which means to harden, like cement hardening, or adverbs like Gud-i, meaning firmly or steadfastly.
So the core concept is solidity, firmness.
Now, think about the concept of health, not just in the ancient world, but even today. When you're healthy, how do you feel?
You feel strong, robust, Solid.
You feel solid. Now, what happens when you're sick? With a fever or the flu?
You feel weak, shaky, fragile, watery even.
Exactly. You lose your solidity. Now, apply this to sleep. In English, we use similar metaphors. We say sleep soundly. We say sleep like a rock.
I need a solid night's sleep. We say that all the time.
Right. We instinctively associate deep restorative sleep with becoming heavy, immobile, solid objects. So the hypothesis is that Gussuri, sleeping soundly, literally translates to sleeping solidly or sleeping firmly, and it's derived directly from that Korean root Gud.
So Gussuri basically means in a solid state.
Yes. Now let's do the phonetics again. How does Gud become Gus? It's the same principle as before. Remember the friction. If you have the root Gud, you add an I or a Gu sound after it. Goody gook.
Could be gut softens into a J or an S.
The D softens into a J or an S. The pathway is gujijikusu. Then you add the common Japanese suffix ri, which indicates a state or a condition. Right. What do you get? Gusuka.
Gussuri. The state of being good, the state of being solid.
That tracks perfectly. I slept in a state of solidity. Now for the final leap, kusuri, medicine. If Gussuri is the state of solidity that leads to healing, then what is the medicine?
The medicine is the thing that gives you the solidity, the thing that makes you solid.
Exactly. Gussuri is the solidifier. It is the agent that restores the Gu state to your fragile, weakened body. The logic is a perfect chain. You take the Gussuri, the solidifier, to restore your firmness, which allows you to sleep Gussuri solidly, which in turn allows you to Naoru, emerge heal.
Wow. Okay, that completely turns the word medicine on its head, because usually we think of medicine as the thing that kills the bad stuff. It's an attack. It's an antibiotic that goes to war with bacteria.
It's an offensive weapon.
Right. But this implies medicine is the thing that rebuilds the structure. It's defensive. It shores up your foundations.
It restores the integrity of the body. The sources also point out a related Korean root, gut, which means good. So it makes you good, solid, and gut, good.
Is gut related to the English word good? They sound identical.
The source material hints that it might be a very, very old root. It's a common sound across many languages for a positive or beneficial concept. Good in English, gut in German, good here. But sticking just to the Korean-Japanese link, the connection is undeniable. Health is solidity. Illness is looseness or fragility. Healing is the process of tightening back up.
This connects back to something we sort of glossed over earlier, the aga-I phenomenon. The source mentioned this as the specific trigger for that sound change.
Right. We talked about friction in general, but the aga-I phenomenon is the specific detail that's important for the linguists who might be listening. It explains why the shift happens so predictably in these cases.
It's the catalyst.
It acts like an accelerator pedal for linguistic evolution. The principle states that when a root ending in a stop sound, like the D in Gud or the T in Nat, meets the I vowel specifically, it dramatically accelerates the change to a friction sound.
The I vowel is the key.
It's the key. In Korean, you can see the intermediate step. Gud plus I became Guji. This is a process called palatalization, and we see it in modern Korean. The word Gud-i, firmly, is often pronounced Guji in casual speech.
Right.
But in the line that evolved into Japanese, the shift went further. It didn't stop at G, it pushed all the way to Su. So the path was Gudi Guji Gusu. This aga-I phenomenon provides the missing link in the chain of evidence. It proves that Gud-i firmly is almost certainly the direct ancestor of Gussuri, soundly. It bridges that gap between the D and the S.
It's like finding a fossil that is half dinosaur, half bird. It proves the evolution wasn't magic, it was just mechanics and time.
Exactly, mechanics and time.
So if we step back, way back, and try to look at the whole map we've just drawn out, the source material suggested some visuals for a video, but I think they work really well as mental images to tie all of this together.
Let's paint the picture for everyone.
Okay, image number 1, the split screen. Imagine it. On the left side of the screen, you have Korea. The word is Nagita, getting better. On the right side, you have Japan. The word is Naoru, healing.
They look and sound a little different on the surface.
Right. But connecting them is a bridge, a solid stone bridge. And written on that bridge is the core concept, coming out.
Yes. You're crossing the bridge from the bad space of illness, the dark cave, the bed with the duvet pulled over your head, the confinement, and you are Nao-daing. You are coming out into the open air. That is what healing is. It's a journey across that bridge.
And then image number 2, the cycle of health. I see this almost like a flowchart or a little manufacturing process. It starts with a box labeled Gussuri medicine, but let's rename it based on what we've learned. Let's call it the solidifier.
A solidifier enters the system.
That leads to the next step in the process, Gussuri, the solid sleep. The body becomes a rock. It shuts down all non-essential processes to harden itself.
It's the consolidation phase.
And that solid sleep, that period of consolidation, is what allows the final step to happen, Naoru, the emergence. You wake up, you feel better, and you can cross that bridge back into the world.
And the result is a return to life. It's a beautiful, logical, and deeply intuitive system. You know, ancient people didn't have microscopes. They didn't know about viruses or bacteria, but they understood the causality of their own bodies through observation.
They just felt it.
They felt it. They knew that if you take the herbs from the shaman, the medicine, you sleep deeply. If you sleep deeply, you wake up stronger. If you are stronger, you can leave the sick bed and rejoin the tribe.
It really makes me wonder about how we treat being sick today. I mean, think about the commercials you see for cold medicine. It's always take DayQuil and go give that big presentation. Don't let a cold stop you.
Power through.
Exactly. We try to bypass the Gussuri phase entirely. We try to skip the solid sleep and just keep moving, keep performing.
We treat the symptoms so we can keep functioning, but we completely ignore the bad space. We just stay in it and try to pretend we're not.
Yeah.
This linguistic map suggests that you can't seal if you don't stop. You need the solidity. You need the sleep. The sleep isn't a side effect of the medicine. The sleep is the mechanism of the cure.
That is actually really convicting. I feel like I'm doing it wrong every time I get sick. I pop a pill and try to answer emails from my bed, but the language itself is saying, no, shut down, become solid, then and only then emerge.
If you skip the sleep, you break the chain.
Yeah.
You can't Naoru emerge if you haven't been Gussuri solid. It's a prerequisite.
It's amazing how a few words from thousands of years ago can basically diagnose our modern culture of burnout.
It really is. The wisdom is baked right in.
So let's wrap this up. We've covered a lot of ground, from the tip of the tongue to the philosophy of existence. Let's try to summarize the key takeaways for someone who wants to try and explain this at a dinner party tonight without getting lost.
Okay, let's do it. Takeaway number 1, the big one. Japanese Naoru, to heal, and Korean Nao-da, to come out, share the Na root. This redefines healing. It's not just repair. It is the act of escaping a negative state. It is an act of emergence from confinement back into the world.
Takeaway number 2, the Tachitsuteto Principle. This is the physics lesson. It explains why Korean words often end in a hard T or D sound, like Nao-da or Gud, while their Japanese cousins often use an S or R sound, like nasu. It's not random. It's about the friction of air in the mouth. The T slides into an S over centuries, connecting concepts like healing with making.
And takeaway number 3, the connection between Gussuri, medicine, and Gussuri, sound sleep. This is the practical application. They share the Korean root Gud, solid. Health is a state of solidity. Medicine is the tool that helps us sleep solidly enough to regain that state. Sleep is not the side effect. It's the point.
It really creates such a cohesive worldview. You know, we usually think of language as just a tool for communication, just a utility, like a hammer. But this deep dive reminds us that language is a fossil record. It's a record of how our ancestors made sense of the chaos of the world.
Absolutely. Every time you say, I slept soundly or I slept like a log, you are unknowingly echoing a thousands of years old belief that sleep makes you solid against the chaos of illness. You're speaking the same ancient code they were.
So here's the final provocative thought we want to leave with you, the listener. We've established that linguistically, healing is the act of coming out or emerging. Nao-da.
Right. The journey out of the cave.
So if you are feeling stuck today, if you are feeling unwell or burnt out or just off, don't just ask, what do I need to take? Don't just look for the Gussuri, the quick fix. Ask yourself this question: what bad space do I need to step out of?
What is confining you? Is it a habit? Is it a mindset? A job? A literal room you spend too much time in?
Exactly. Because according to the deep wisdom embedded in the language of our ancestors, you can't heal until you make the move to exit. You have to Nao-da before you can truly Naoru.
That's a powerful thought to end on.
Thanks for diving deep with us today. This was a really fun one. We'll see you next time.
Stay curious.